when they came here, they left all of their language and everything behind and became American, and so they only taught their children English.
And I heard that they would beat them if they caught them speaking. Well, one's from Africa.
They probably did. I mean, you know, they. I know that they shunned it because my father just doesn't really know. He didn't teach us anything. We had to ask him for him to give us information about Portuguese people and our family and things like that, but he wasn't forthcoming with the information, so we don't know. You know, but I've met cousins and they'll say in your great so and so, and yeah, but you know, it's unfortunate that we do not carry that history and can speak about it, where you can allow your imagination to go wild with who these people were. You know? But
yep, we gotta keep going. Keep going, girl.
Are you recording now?
He's recording and then he'll edit, so don't worry about it.
It's all editing. It's all editing.
Okay.
Go ahead. Y'all keep going. In 3, 2, 1.
Alrighty. Okay.
And
then it went down.
no, I know about other cousins.
Welcome, guys, to another edition of the BS of Entrepreneurship Podcast. You see they stopped talking? It's your partner, Frankie P. This is where entrepreneurs come to get their mindset correct. This is the best show, the number one show in the country for entrepreneurial mindset. Because what we understand is most entrepreneurs, they're struggling. Why are they struggling? Not because of the tips or the tricks, but most of them struggle because of the mindset and how can they continue to go on. So that's what this show is put together to help you continue to go on during those times that you may be struggling. But today is special. Today is extremely special. I'm going to kind of be a little transparent and allow you to delve deep and learn with me a little bit about my family history, because as I shared earlier with let me stop here because and you know I rattle on, so let me do the introduction. I'm Frankie P.
Maria P.
And let me do the proper introduction. So now, as I was saying, this is an important day to me. Why? Because I get to learn and I get to share with you part of me, which is my history, and I would like you, because what I've seen is, and I shared. This is Gwen Purcell, which is my mother. This is her sister, Aunt Janet, and this is their cousin, Mary Pearson, which we affectionately call Aunt Patty. Okay, so this is my family, and we're going to share with you, as I learned myself, some of the history of my family. I would encourage you, even though, I mean, if you hear some of the background noise, there's a church next door. You may not hear it. so they might be saying hallelujah. They might be saying hallelujah. But I would like to share with you our journey, because what I've seen is that most families, when they have a family reunion, the family reunion comes about and you have dinner, you pay your money, you go to a hotel, you go to the room, you come down and you sit out and you have dinner. And then they may show a picture, some type of pictures. And then one person gets up and they speak about great-granddaddy or great-grandma, whatever the case may be. And they may show you a tree. But what I would like most families, especially African-American families, I would like us to put, what was the word you used, Aunt Janet? An emotion behind the name.
Okay.
So we can get to bring to life the people who are on the paper. And so that's what this episode is about. So let me start. And this is just jump ball. So this conversation it's just a conversation. So let me ask, as far back as you remember. So Aunt Patty, you are on the Gant side of our family,
right?
And Grandma Gracie was a Basket originally.
Correct.
And then she married Gant.
Correct. And Luther.
Okay. So now let's go back a generation before Grandma Gracie.
Is Grandma Gracie your grandmother?
Grandma Gracie is my great-grandmother.
Okay.
Grandma Gracie is my great-grandmother, which is
My great-grandmother.
your grandmother. And
your aunt.
And your aunt. And
My
if we-
great aunt.
Your great aunt. So if we go back one generation further than that, so you go down to great granddaddy Tom.
Grandma
That's
Tom
that.
Bass.
Grandpa Tom was
Grandpa Tom.
Grandma Grace's father.
Grandma Gracie's father.
Right.
Okay. Is there anybody further back that you can remember? Who's the furthest back that you can remember?
On the basket side.
On the back. Let's start with the basket side.
That's as far as I can remember back.
That would be Grandpa Tom.
Grandpa Tom.
That we can attest to, because when we say basket, that is only basket that we know,
Right.
because that was not his original
Name.
last name.
Okay, so he wasn't a basket.
No.
We don't know what.
He was
We aren't certain what he was, because he gave himself his last name.
Okay, and how did that come about?
Well, apparently when he was
Sleep.
freed from being a slave,
So he was a slave and then he was free.
he was a slave. He was a free slave.
Right.
He wasn't a free slave.
He
He was a slave. Then when he was freed, according to my Aunt Ruth, he said, "I would." In her voice, he said, "I will not take a slave master's name."
Even though that
And they
was
made
his
baskets, so he named himself Basket with a double T.
Oh, and what did you say, Mom?
father. Okay. Even though the slave master, we assume, was his father because he was light skinned and looked white. He looked
Oh,
white.
okay.
Father
So
grandfather was
so
white.
great for my generation, great grandpa Tom
Father.
father.
Was
So
white.
my three greats is a white
White
man.
man. He's a white man.
That's where I get my proper English from.
Is that it? That's good, yeah.
Okay, and my good head. That's why I get my good head. You got Indian in you.
And you're light skinned.
Yeah, that's why I get my light
That's
skin.
right.
That's why I get my light skin
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
Okay, let me stop.
I'm trying to keep quiet.
Let me just stop. Okay,
So do
so
we know what year that was? Was he freed when he was supposed to be freed, or was he one, or does anybody know,
How
that
he
got
got
the
freed.
message later? Or when did that?
The answer to that is, I really don't know, but from the gist of the story that they're telling, it would have come about the time of Emancipation
proclamation.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's when he would have gotten his freedom.
That's when he would have gotten his freedom.
Okay, and so since he probably already had a last name, but whatever that last name was,
He has brothers and sisters. Gwen might know the name of them. I forgot the name of the.
Do you know that?
his-
It
his
seems as if,
siblings.
well, this,
I don't know about the baskets.
but seemingly
Um.
you brought somebody to us. We know the Gunners were part of them, and
Yeah.
and the Sweetenbirds, I think, was
Yes.
their last name. I think before he changed his name, I think all of them were on the same plantation. I'm not sure because I haven't seen anything in writing,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that's what happened when he changed his name, because a lot of them were still first cousins and cousins, but they didn't have the same last name because Grandpa Tom changed his name. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I wonder why.
Because he said he would not
He
be
wasn't going to take a
the
slave master's
master's
name.
He
Okay,
refused
so
to.
he had
He
some
chose-
resentment.
He chose
Right.
his.
He had
Right.
some
Not only
resentment
did- not
being
only
a
that,
slave.
he was pretty mean because from what I can understand, this is from my Aunt Ruth said that he was walking down the street and the doctor in town, they lived in Wagner, and the doctor said, "Hey, slug teacher," and he said, "Hi, slug doctor," and the doctor slapped him. The doctor was white, as you know. Okay, and when the doctor slapped him, he took out his Hawkblade knife and cut him. So they started. From what I understand, it was right there at the artery,
Mm-hmm.
and so they had to get him out of town. And so they must have had some money. I don't know how, but they got him out of town for a year. So the doctor died within 2 or 3 days after he had left, and he was gone. Okay, so he stayed out for about a year or so,
No.
huh? Or
Just
more.
sent him north.
Yeah, they sent him north.
Sent him north.
And you can go ahead and
And another thing too, I'd like to say about that, he said plug preacher, teacher.
Mhm.
So he had to have some learning somewhere.
Yeah, because he was a teacher.
He was a teacher.
Right.
And so was his son, Uncle Jimmy.
Right.
He was a teacher.
Right, uh-huh.
So where did they go to school?
I assume that the slave master, usually, I guess his mother might have been what they call the one that lived in the house, right? Now, my assumption, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, and with her living in the house, and that being the slave master's child, they taught him to read. Okay, for him to spell turnkey, little boy. And I know that's what my father said. He was his teacher, and he said, "Spell turnkey, little boy." And
He was supposed
Could
to
he
be
spell it?
he was spelling turkey. He told him to talk about spell turkey.
Oh.
My dad told me that part of that.
But what
part.
makes sense, and as the story is being told, what comes to mind for me is we spoke about Granddaddy Tom, which was the slave master's son, but we didn't speak about who his mother was.
Right.
They never talked about her mother. Because if we knew who her mother was, we may have known
His mother.
his mother was, we may have known what plantation they came from.
Mm.
But they never, we know she was black, but we don't know, no one ever mentions his mother.
Okay, so Granddaddy Tom,
White.
married, and who did Granddaddy Tom marry?
Married Becky.
His wife was Grandma Becky,
Okay,
who jumped in the well.
I heard the story
Oh,
about her.
tell me about the well.
And she dropped in the well.
So
I mean, you all say like is she not related? Like was she a step parent or something?
But she was Grandpa Tom's wife.
but not related to.
Which was Uncle Jimmy.
Which
No, he was
was
the children's parents.
Grandma Grace's
Grandma
wife.
great.
Oh, okay.
Let me
I mean,
tell
it
you
just,
what I
it just
heard
sounded
about
like.
Well, no, that's my
she
great great grandma.
wasn't-
Don't talk about my great great grandma like that.
I'm
Let
not.
me tell you, what was this lady
It wasn't
saying?
like she was.
Grandma Becky.
Grandma
I
Becky.
heard that Grandma Becky had lost her mind, and she got over in the well when she was pregnant with Aunt Gracie.
But she held on to the side of
But
the
I
wall.
don't, they say she lost her mind. But Grandma Becky wasn't that crazy because Grandma Gracie held on to the well. She
She
didn't
didn't
jump
go
in.
down.
So if she was crazy, she'd have jumped in.
She said, "Help!" And they came.
She called her help. She
So was
don't-
Grandma Gracie the youngest? Was Grandma Gracie the baby?
Grandma Gracie's the only girl, yeah, baby.
Okay, and so how many brothers did Grandma Gracie have?
Shit.
Grandma, Uncle Jimmy,
Walter.
Uncle Walter, Uncle
J-
and Sadie, and Frida's husband.
Yeah, Jack.
Oh,
Jasper.
Jack.
Jasper.
Jasper.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know too much about the baskets.
Okay. So all that came out, and so okay, so Uncle Tom, I mean Uncle Tom. Oh my God.
He wasn't Uncle Tom.
Granddaddy Tom married Grandma Becky, which had, and for my particular line, Grandma Gracie. Okay, and then Grandma Gracie
married Luther.
married Luther Gant.
Luther Gant.
Okay, so go ahead, Patty.
Well, all I know is that Grandma Gracie married, what's his name? Luther. But she was 12 years old when he married her.
Wow.
And they had maid service, and that's what my
So
father
how old was Uncle Luther? I mean, Granddaddy Luther.
900.
don't
But that's
know.
how things went back in those
That's
days.
right.
When they married, did they live together? Or?
Yes, and she had maid service, and her
Grandma
grandchildren.
Gracie had maid service?
Yeah,
That's
but they
the
had a
story.
maid and a butler.
That's the story.
They had money.
Yes, they had money.
There's some money somewhere there in Illinois. I'm
All right,
going.
so how did they get that money? Were they entrepreneurs? I mean, most people in those days were. We don't know. We don't know what kind of business they had.
They had over 100 acres of land.
No, the
Oh,
Gants.
so they
the
were
Gants had
they were
200
farming.
acres.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, yes,
were
they
farmers.
farmed.
So the Gants, so from Luther Gant's side.
Yes.
I think Luther
Yeah.
got in there and
They had a white.
had a
they
white.
worked- they
Yeah,
worked for-
because Aunt Gracie looked like she was white
Yeah, she was.
to me.
Grandma Gracie,
She
yeah,
did.
Grandma Gracie. I thought Grandma Gracie was. She looked Indian.
Indian.
She looked Indian to me.
Oh,
Right, she looked white and
Okay.
Indian.
Yeah. So now going back on Luther Gant's, who was his parents?
Jake.
Jake
Jake.
Gant.
When they came over the ship.
Okay, so
So
that-
my
okay.
grandfather's, my great grandfather's
Same father.
parent too. Yeah, Luther.
So your great grandfather is Luther also.
No, her great father. We had the same great grandfather. Her great grandfather, her grandfather, and my grandfather were brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So which was
Edgar and
And
Luther.
Luther.
okay,
brothers.
Edgar and Luther were brothers.
Were brothers.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And then they had sisters Venus, Salula, Mary Jane. What? That was all one person.
Depending on which day.
Yes.
Wow.
And then there was Aunt Sugar. What was her name? Mary Jane.
Mary Jane.
Her name was Mary Jane.
Right.
And then they had another sister,
Belonged to
Aunt Sip.
Yeah.
I forgot Aunt
I forgot
Sip's
his
name.
name.
So I want to go back to Grandma Gracie and as well.
Grandma,
How did
Grandma Becky.
Grandma Becky.
Right. Well, Grandma Becky did not let go of the side of the well. But she
Grandma
stopped.
Becky.
So she didn't fall in the well.
No, she
She
said
held
She went in, got in it herself.
Oh, she got in the well.
They
Maybe
held
she
on
wanted
to the
some
side.
attention.
They said she was crazy. Grandma, if she was crazy, she'd have jumped in.
Yeah.
And
She would not have held on.
And she wouldn't have said, help.
So Grandma Gracie was a baby at that time.
I heard she was pregnant.
Oh, okay. She was with child with Grandma Gracie
Uh-huh.
at that time.
And I don't know whether that had anything to do with it or not, but I just watched Aunt Gracie, she had a little,
Switch with her.
she was very prissy and always beautiful hair curled up, jet black.
Jet
And she
black
had
until
the
she was
curly
85.
hair.
Yeah.
85 when she,
She wanted me to take her get her dyed to death. But she had the prettiest white hair.
oh,
But
she had beautiful hair.
Yeah.
And always very shapely.
Mm,
Nice, no fat in it.
Never passed a size 16.
mm.
Except 16, looked like
I mean,
12.
no,
14.
16.
She was always a nice size.
So she was she petite? Was she short?
Yes.
They said she was
petite.
pretty.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
I
So
thought
she
But
didn't
I
have
don't-
work, no working for her.
Well, yeah, because
No.
her husband died when my mother was 8. So therefore, I'm off the one where did they get the money from?
They had
Except
money.
for my grandfather, great grandfather, worked for this Caucasian lady, and like Patty said, they said that my grandmother couldn't cook. I didn't want to eat her anyway.
Oh.
Okay, so they said that this lady was a short lady because when Clyde's mother was over at the house to visiting, she said, "Chloe, y'all had a maid." I was, "We ain't have no maid. That was her cousin," and they put her on a box to wash the dishes, and she cleaned the house because she was very short.
And her husband was the butler.
I know. Okay.
And I knew the lady.
Okay.
I knew
Oh,
her,
yeah,
but I didn't know.
The lady working
The
for
work-
For Aunt Gracie, that's why
Grandma
Gracie
Gracie?
didn't know how to do these
She
things
didn't know how
because
to
she had a maid to do
Oh.
the things for her.
Okay.
Until my grandfather died, okay? Because they said somehow or another he had a car or something, I don't know. But he had 200 acres of land because we're still paying taxes on it. And
So-
Charlie would love to get rid of it.
Well,
Oh,
we're
200 acres?
going to keep that
Yes,
in the
sir.
family.
Wow.
We're going to make sure that stays in the family. Even
Okay,
if
I
We
would
only
like
have,
to say
we'll
something
only have
else.
100 acres left now.
100. Okay. Well, we're
Oh,
going to make
so
sure.
it's being sold
Yeah.
slowly.
What my grandmother had to do was sell off pieces of. Jen, you have the paper with changing, selling dogs and the cats. And
Oh, that's when she went to have it.
when you went to the
She
courthouse.
wasn't probation, but
to
to
sell
become
it.
the estate when she became the executive.
Executor.
When she gave it. So
Okay.
that
All right, let me say something about that. Aunt Gracie married Uncle Luther.
Right.
Okay, and his father was Jake.
Right.
They had all of this property, and Uncle Luther wanted to know how to do this, that, or the other. He let Aunt Gracie do it because she had been to Benedict College.
Grandma Gracie went to Benedict
That's
College.
what I heard. She went to Benedict College, and she knew how to put everything in place.
So yeah, I'm extremely curious now because where the acreage came from, where the business, because somewhere along the line someone ran the business and someone had the wherewithal to have the money to send this little, well, maybe was Grandma Gracie passing for white at the time?
No, she never did.
I don't know.
She
To,
was-
to
she
go
looked
to
at-
school. Well, she went to
looked at-
Benedict. Benedict was an HBCU.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so she went to a black school.
It was
So-
Harvard of the time.
Benedict was a Harvard, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but she got everything in place for
Them two.
Jake Gant.
Yeah.
That was her husband, that was her father-in-law.
Oh, okay.
Because she knew how, she could read, she could write, and her brother, Uncle Jimmy, was a teacher in the Wagner area. He taught school there.
Okay. So how far back on the Gant, do as far as back on the Gant side, you can go back to what the slave ships?
Oh,
the
yes,
three brothers.
the three brothers got off the ship in some part of Georgia. And it was three of them, Emmanuel, who the other two? I can't think, I should have done my
But
homework.
they were able to come over together and they didn't separate them?
They didn't separate them, or Dr. Gant bought them. He
Okay.
bought the three brothers,
Okay.
and he brought them to Wagner. He was a doctor in Wagner, a white man.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought those three brothers, he let them stay together. And their name was Kinlaw.
It's with a C or a K?
K.
Okay.
Kinlaw? With a K?
Kinlaw, I guess Kinlew.
Okay.
But he did not let them keep their name. He had them change their name to his name, Gant.
Oh.
And he
Who
was
gave
a
them
doctor.
Kinlaw?
Huh?
Oh, that was
their African
African
name.
name.
Oh,
Oh,
so our African name is Kinlaw.
Yeah. And my
Okay.
niece Annika said, "Oh, is that right? I'm going to change my name back." I
Oh,
said,
John,
"Girl,
John is
sit
doing
down
that.
somewhere. Change your name to Kinlaw. Don't even know how to spell it." But that is something that they let the three brothers stay together. Look who's walking in. Because I saw a movie not too long ago where the slaves were being sold, and
Come on, director. This is our director. Cheers over there.
they had the mother, father, and the three children there. And before the sale, they were standing out there waiting to be sold. And the mother had the baby in her arms, and she kept asking her white master, "Can I keep my baby?" "No, all of y'all going different ways." And so don't ask me again. But she asked him one more time, and he knocked her down. With the, now, this is not in my, it was a movie that I saw
Oh, okay.
to show you how.
Because I was getting ready to go back and find out who was in his line.
Pushing my relatives around.
He has a line, and I need to find who that is.
That's right. But no, they let those Kinlaw brothers stay together, and they had the name Gant. That's where we got the name from.
Okay.
And it was
Oh,
spelled
white
Gaunt, Gaunt.
Oh, it was? Okay.
So originally it was G-A-U-N-T, was Gaunt.
Gaunt.
So how did it change from with one T or two T's? I know from with our line it's with two T's.
Two T's, that's right.
Or,
What your
Okay,
father
they'll tell you
said.
that's-
Well, it's just something. My father was a great storyteller.
okay.
And
And some of the Gants would have their name G-A-N-T and some G-A-N-T-T. So my father just said the ones with two T's have
Small.
more intelligence than the ones with the one T. That's something he added.
Oh,
That's because his name had the two
it has the two
T's.
T's. You're probably right.
That's right.
Wow. Okay. So so we have the baskets and the Gants. They came together. Now, what was this about? Was it Red Hill or something?
That's what you
Yeah.
had right on Red Hill.
That's a community down here.
A community.
So
in-
Red Hill is in Wagner.
Yes, well,
Yes, it is
everywhere
Wagner, but they just, it's
So
a little
community.
section.
It's just a little community.
Yeah.
So tell me about Red Hill.
Go ahead, Pat. You would
Well, I was pretty much born in Red Hill, and we were just around there. That's all I know.
now you know about the store, Toot store.
Oh, we had one little grocery store, Mr. Matthew Davenport
Now,
store.
what you tell me that Sunday?
Oh, Davenport. Yeah, the Davenports have to be down there too.
Yeah,
Oh,
there was
okay.
a lot of people there, and we had one little school, Red Hill School,
You want to read the school
Um,
and the church.
and
Did we
three.
say where this
Oh
was?
no,
The
Jan,
Wagner-
that was
Wagner,
not
South Carolina.
church.
South Carolina. Okay.
You want to know about how big it is?
One
How
line.
big is this
this
room?
room?
How big is this complex?
But it was a pretty good size place, and my we lived in a little house there. And when my uncle Eddie went to the military in the 1940s, he got, I don't know where he had traveled in the military, but he got the bright lights and the big city lights in his eyes, and he came back and he wanted to set up a little club. So he did. My grandfather, Edgar, got the money from somewhere for him to build a little club, and they call it the juke joint, where they would dance on.
This was in South Carolina.
Yes.
Can I explain? Can I describe the
It's about as big as his room.
Oh, it was pretty good size. It was pretty good size, and then
this room and that room.
oh no, it was pretty good size because
It was a house.
and they were doing very well. They could sell liquor and beer and all. And then after a while, the white man found out that they were making money selling liquor and beer and sandwiches and all. So they made them close it down. So when I was born, that's where we lived in that little house. That was the juke
That
joint.
was the club.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
So they made them shut it down because they were making money.
Because they were making money.
And they weren't giving them a piece of the pie. No
That's
tax,
what it
no
was.
nothing.
Maybe
Well, I
he had
know,
agreed
well,
to.
not only that, I can remember the story that my mother was telling, that Uncle Jimmy and my grandmother Gracie were went to register to vote, and the Ku Kluxers came, they called them Night Riders, and the Night Riders came through, and grandmother told us, if anything move out there, shoot them.
that's what Grandma Gracie said?
If anything move out
Oh,
there.
yeah. Oh, Grandma Gracie was a thug. Straight up.
Uncle Jimmy, the Night Riders.
Because her granddad is the one who cut the man. Right?
That's true.
I'd like to know what happened when he came back to town. If he
After
came
the
back,
man was dead, they stayed. I guess he stayed away about a year or so, and when he came back, he
And
just
raise a family.
He just came back as a teacher and everything else, and nothing happened. I guess because I'm wondering where they had enough money to send him out of town.
Man, that is a good question.
From my
Money was
story,
coming from
his
somewhere.
father, the white guy,
Right.
sent him north.
See, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking since his father was actually a white man,
Right. His
right.
father sent him north,
And so that when
so that he wouldn't be hurt.
and when it's time
That
to
makes
come
sense.
back, he brought him back, and he came back as
When it was safe to come back,
Right.
he brought him back
I don't know how
Well,
it was ever
money-
safe to come back.
after killing somebody.
Right.
Well, apparently they didn't like the doctor too much for them to allow him to get away with that. Because if it was a black man killing a black man, it would have been no problem.
No problem.
But then again, they said he looked white, so hey, I don't know.
Well, you two have seen Uncle Jimmy.
Yeah.
Uncle Jimmy and Aunt Gracie looked more white than they did black.
Right.
Uncle Jimmy was tall,
He was like, she was like this.
straight hair, pointed nose, and no weight on him, just tall, a very tall, slim, white-looking man. And his sister Aunt Gracie she looked more white than she did black to me.
She, Uncle Jimmy, we want to talk about Uncle Jimmy was a deacon in the church.
Not only was he a deacon, he was chairman of the deacon board.
Chairman of the deacon board, excuse me.
Hallelujah.
Uncle Jimmy would come past the house on Sunday morning. Well, on Sunday morning, well, I have to explain the house. The house in Red Hill was a shotgun house. It was a house. The biggest part of the house was the wall, was a hall, and it was 2 rooms on this side and 2 rooms on that side. And the hall sort of served as the dining room or the kitchen because it was a big table in the hall. Well, on Sunday morning when you come through in the South, everybody sat around the table. That was the day you had a good meal or something. You had fried chicken and all that before you went to church. And you sat around and you had to say a Bible verse. Everybody had to say a Bible verse, you
I
know.
remember God made us do that.
You had to pray that nobody got to your verse before you did. So everybody had to say a Bible verse.
Jesus wept.
And who you were so mad that somebody got to Jesus wept before you did. And if Uncle Jimmy would come past the house on the way to church and say the grace, well, it would be hot fried chicken and warm biscuits when you started.
And when you finish, you gotta put it in the microwave.
Put it in the microwave.
I'm
If it had
just
one.
saying, we had one.
Yeah, that was Uncle Jimmy, and that's the Lord, Uncle Jimmy. Please get to the amen part. Yeah.
Well, what about we had a cousin because when Grandma Gracie passed, we went to South Carolina, and our cousins Brian and somebody else.
Oh,
Part of the
Nick's
basket.
They're part
Oh,
of
Nick's
right,
going.
right.
Nick, okay. So how did she come about? How did Nick come about owning the liquor store?
She's a basket. Well, for one thing, her father, he was the first black man in Wagner that had a cotton picker. So you didn't have to go out in the field and pick it.
Had
So
the machine.
you're right, he had the machine.
Not only cotton pick tractors and
Tractors,
everything.
Right.
tractors.
So therefore, you know that the
I keep talking.
Salads.
the- yeah, he was Willie Sally, right? He was a Sally. He married a basket, which was
So money married money.
right, and he would have to drive around in his truck with a shotgun because they were after him. Plus, he's the NAACP. He was a member of that too. Willie Sally. He was an educated man. I almost married his grandson.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was Uncle Jimmy's
The story
daughter.
would change.
That granddaughter.
That was a,
But can I say one
Nick
more
is
thing
Uncle
about
Jimmy's
Uncle Jimmy?
granddaughter.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I want to say one more thing about Uncle Jimmy, who looked like he was white. My grandparents joined Saron Church in 1931, and Uncle Jimmy was the chairman of the deacon board then. And when I graduated from high school in '63, he was still the chairman. And my grandfather said that they had Reverend Parker and Reverend Smith. I think Reverend Smith was the one. And Uncle Jimmy had to tell him several times, "You will do as you are told in this church, or I will get rid of you." My grandfather built this church. I never heard Uncle Jimmy say that.
I never heard that.
But my grandfather would not lie about that. He said, he called him Mr. Jimmy. Mr. Jimmy ran the church, and he let you know. He wouldn't just say it any time he felt like it, but my grandfather built this church.
When Hamp's granddaughter went south to just to find out what we're talking about now, she looked at the cornerstone of the old church,
Mm-hmm.
and there said Uncle Jimmy's name.
So they built that. They had to get the property there because it's in the town of Wagner. It's in the town limits. So somebody had money somewhere. I don't know.
Wow.
It's in town. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious on what made them move from Red Hill to the house that I know of in Wagner.
House burned. The house in Red Hill burned
Oh
down.
yeah, the house burnt
They
down.
had it.
But that was a big house. Was that the house?
That was the house
Uncle Jimmy. Yeah, with
in Red Hill with the I call it the shotgun house.
right there.
That was a shotgun house.
It didn't have 2 doors. There was the front and the back. And then when this was the front and that was the back, you can come in and shoot straight through it.
But it
Oh,
was
that's
such
what
a
that
big
means.
house.
Yes,
Shotgun.
It was such a big
It
house.
was big.
Yeah, it was big.
When we went down there, we had to make us a pallet on the floor now. We know that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
It was a
enjoyed
big
going
house.
south.
It was a big house.
It looked big to me.
It was a big
It
house.
was big. It was bigger than the one across the street where they had the
Oh, it was a big. It was a
Oh
big.
yeah, much bigger.
It was a big house, a big porch. Big. It was a.
And I guess that's where she lived when she had the maid and the.
Well, that was the house that I saw Grandpa Tom in when Grandpa Tom was sick. When Grandpa Tom was sick, Grandma Gracie was a widow, and she lived over by where John Davenport lived.
Oh, yeah,
She lives on the hill over there. So we walked over there to see about Grandpa Tom, and he was on the porch. The porch was like a room. It was, you could make it a room. And he was on what you could call, I guess it's a summer bed, because it had a summer bed on the porch. And I remember having to fan him, to keep the gnats away while grandmother went there and spoke to the grandfolks. She had to speak to the older folk.
You speak to the who?
To the older folk and the grown folk.
Oh.
Children stayed in children's places.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, you
That's
wake
right.
up and. I was about to say something.
Go ahead.
Children stayed in children's
Children
places
stayed-
at that time.
Yes.
I remember one time, well, my brother and I tried to be his mother because my mother and father were in either Florida or DC. And so we were on our way to church one Sunday, and my brother and I started fighting, and my grandma didn't want us to fight. But we were fighting, I think, over some chewing gum or something. And so, anyway, at that time, the cars had the seats that went all the way across. You didn't have that
The
little.
buckets. It wasn't a bucket seat.
Yeah.
It was,
So anyway, my grandma said, we're all dressed for church. I told you all about that fight. She got up and turned around in the seat and reached over the back. At that time, it was not illegal to have a gun. My grandfather was a hunter.
Mhm.
She reached across the seat and got that gun, and she aimed it at me and my brother. We were on our way to church. So I just put my hands up like this because I knew I was going to get shot. She
wow.
watching the westerns, you know. I knew I was dead.
Oh, wow.
She said, I told you about that fight.
So
Going to church.
oh, okay. See, so now the kids nowadays,
Oh,
just go to time out, and hey man, did you put him in time out? They call child services. You put him in time out.
They're going to get shot with
You
the
put him in shot with a gun.
My niece was telling me today that a girl last week had handed out with some teacher, and so she and her mom came out to the school to talk to the principal. She got out there, the girl and her mama started fighting. They had to call the police to the
That's friendly.
Wow.
The girl and her mother started.
the girl and her mother started fighting. When the mother came out there to see about the situation with the girl and a teacher.
And she started fighting her own mother.
Uh-huh.
So where does she live now?
That's right.
That's right.
There you go.
Right there with her mom.
Yeah,
That's right.
Probably
Probably telling the
right
mama
with her
what
mom.
to do still.
Yeah, mother giving
Mother gave her a ride
in the
home.
morning, waking up in the morning, cooking breakfast for her. What you want for breakfast? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what I want you probably don't have.
So what left? And I know I want to get this second. So first of all, what brought and at what time did we begin making the journey from South Carolina to come north to DC?
Okay, well, these two were born in D.C., so
Oh, okay.
they would know.
Okay, so Nana, which is Grandma Gracie's daughter, Chloe Jordan.
Mhm.
So she came to DC.
Okay.
So
From what I can understand, when my parents came north, how and why I don't know, but they didn't come originally here. They came to Virginia and they worked at Luray Caverns in that area.
okay.
And when my mother got pregnant with me in Luray Caverns, she got morning sickness and she couldn't work. So they came to D.C. where my Aunt Frances, my father's sister, lived. And they lived with my Aunt Frances until...
Until they got the house on Chapel Street.
No.
No.
Big
No.
ball shot called.
No, until they
Second
moved
Street.
over to 2nd Street, where, I don't know if it was one on 2nd Street or not.
Was that Southeast?
No, Northwest way.
Northwest.
Oh, yeah,
Where
you want to?
what you mean?
We lived at 631 2nd Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C. Our phone number was Metropolitan 0821.
0821. You remember that too? Huh?
Yeah, because Maison Lurch was the business, and their number was Metropolitan. Oh, we didn't have before numbers. 0821.
That's
Theirs
right.
was 0281.
Right, you never dial before now.
And
when
we
you came out,
And if you could tell the part of the city that you lived in by the code, if you lived in Metropolitan, which was ME, that knew you lived in sort of downtown metropolitan DC. If you lived in LI, which was Lincoln, then that meant you lived sort of in Northeast. If you lived in executive, you lived in upper northwest.
Oh, wow.
If you lived in Ludlow, you lived in far southeast and northeast. So
That's right.
you could, that's how you could tell where in the city you live by the
Yeah,
Code.
The code, okay.
yeah.
Wow. Never
Okay.
even knew that.
Now
Well,
that's how these two have gotten DC.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during the 40s and the early 50s, and I'll say mid 50s too, the people, younger people coming along, they just got tired of the farming and picking cotton and plowing and all of that. And so they would find places to go. Some went south to Florida, some came north to DC and New York and places like that. And so, anyway, what they would do, some of them would be to leave their children with their parents until they got settled, and then they would come and get them. Mine never came back to get me. I stayed down there the whole while.
I knew what I was gonna say.
She became an adult?
She
yeah.
she's right though. She went to college down there.
Oh, South Carolina. Oh.
South Carolina, yes, and
I
I never, so many people, when the parents got settled in a, apartment or whatever, they would bring their children on up. Mine never came back to get me.
Were you an only child?
No.
She had a brother.
Oh.
I had a brother, yes.
At our house on 2nd Street, I call it the original Holiday Inn. As the folk migrated from the South, they would come past, well, they didn't come past, they came
And put their bags down.
Yeah, they came north to D.C. They would stay with us with Mother's House now. I said Mother's House, well, that's really stretching it, but it was, well,
There are 2 rooms.
after I got grown and they really fixed the house up, we realized that it was upstairs of somebody's house, but to us it was an apartment. And when the folk came north, they would come and stay with us until they got on their feet.
Mm.
Then they would go find them apartments and for the children, and then they
Some
would
of them
move.
sent for the children.
So at one point, we
My
were
parents never sent for
families
me.
worse with each other.
They would come and they would stay, they would get on their
Yeah.
feet, they would move on. And then the next one would come through, they would stay on, and then they would move on. And they did that, and for years until everybody sort of got settled and they got a government job. And then they went,
IBM. That was
So when did things change? Because it sounds to me that way back when, we were a community where we helped one another.
Right.
And then somewhere along the line, things changed because my generation talks about we can't live together like the Hispanics
Integration.
or the Asians. Okay, so
integration, we lost that with integration. When we went to school, you looked out for each other. One, we went to community school. We went to your neighborhood school. One but three black schools in the city. It was Dunbar, Cardozo, Armstrong, and Phelps. And they all of them had different things. Cardozo was your business school. Dunbar was your academic school. Armstrong was your vocational school. So was Phelps, and you had Martha Washington.
Well, what about Spingarn?
Springfield wasn't built until Gwen.
Oh, okay.
So tell me about I remember you telling me about you guys being at Spingarn. So how many cousins did we have at Spingarn?
Okay, when Burnett's father moved here, now he was really smart because
Burnett father is Uncle.
it's my mother's brother.
Okay, Uncle Rudolph. That's Uncle
Right,
Rudolph.
that's
Rudolph
Uncle
Gang.
Rudolph. Okay, he came. He had like 5 children.
With 10 of them.
Well, at this time, Pat was gone. Junior was gone. Louise stayed a while, but she was gone.
That's true.
Corinne just stayed like overnight because she had kids.
I thought they all was there.
It was 10 of them exactly.
I'm telling you.
They came to live with us on. She's gonna get to Spingarn in a minute,
Right.
but
Lee
they came to
Street.
live with us on
Lee
Lee
Street.
Street. We lived in Eastland Gardens. When you come out Kenilworth Avenue, and you're getting ready to go around that curve that will lead you back into Nanny Hanover Road.
Mhm.
That second house before you make the turn was the house that we lived in on Lee Street. 14 of us lived in that house. Uncle Rudolph came up, him, his wife, and 8
It might have been 7.
of his children stayed there, plus me, my sister.
Wow.
And we lived there, we slept right in the road.
But before Uncle Rudolph got married, it was just Uncle Rudolph, and he had 5 children.
His wife
He had 5.
His wife had passed.
Yes, Sylvia was like 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
But-
so Uncle Rudolph had 5 children when he met
On
Aunt
Ann.
Ann.
She had 4.
Okay, and that's
She had 4. Then she and Greg together they had Greg.
okay.
That made 10.
So they had 5 and 4. They had the Brady Bunch plus.
Plus,
But 8 is enough plus.
plus.
And she always
together
made
they had-
enough, right,
And
All
then
of them,
they
they
had
had
1.
10.
Okay, so that was 10.
right.
So now when you guys went to high school,
When she went to
when you went to high school,
Yeah.
how many of you guys were in high school together?
Okay, it was Jane, Billy,
4.
Burnett, and myself, right? That's 4 of us. 4 of us was first cousin. Well, they were sisters and brothers, and I was the first cousin.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So we had four people in the same high
Right.
school.
Oh, yeah, there's 3 of us that was in the 10th grade, and 1 was in the 11th. Jane was in 11th.
Okay.
I was in college.
Oh,
Mhm.
I went to Howard.
oh, you going to Howard? Oh, HU, you know. Hey, so
When they came here, I was in college. She was
I
in
still
high
at
school.
home, right.
okay. And so, what brought you north?
The train.
You just got tired.
I got tired. I really did. I got tired of being down there.
You finished college though, right?
Yeah, and I just got tired of being there.
Did
And
you,
so I wanted to make a move.
did you go back after you graduated?
Oh, I went back. I'd still go back, but I don't
I
want
mean,
to
did
stay.
you go back? I understand that because I left my last summer down there. I was 16. I promised my God, a few reliable white men, that if you let me get home this time, it'll be a while before I came back. The next time I came back, I had 2 children.
Honestly, that was the last time I've been to Wagner. Well, I was 16 when Grandma Gracie died.
Is that right? That's enough.
That's the last time. Like I said, and the only thing I remember the house.
Mhm.
I remember the house.
Patty bought that house.
Oh, okay. So you still okay? The kitchen and in the front room there was a blue bed.
Yeah.
The little blue bed.
That little blue bit.
I remember being on I remember one time going down there and we went down there for Christmas.
Oh.
And we spent Christmas Eve and waking up Christmas Day, and I remember, well, where my gifts want to come? How Santa Claus gonna know I'm here? I said, we need to go back to DC.
Yeah.
and land on that couch. The last time I remember, I laid on that couch.
Plastic couch.
Actually, Soleil Bryant, he was on the one closest to the door,
window.
and I was on the one closest to the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I was
You was the one with the back on it.
Probably so, but I don't know that night because I went out with Brian with Nick's son.
Uh-oh.
And
Yes,
Nick owned
oh.
the- Nick owned the liquor store.
Yeah, the nigga on the liquor store,
Uh-huh.
and I was 16.
Oh, I know they baptized you.
Did they ever? Did they ever? And I was the youngest one, and all of them were 21, so they can legally drink. I'm 16.
They should have been ashamed of
And I had to drive the next day. He's talking about, I'm sick, I can't drive. I can't let them know I can't drive. I'm 16.
Celine sick. He hung over.
It's like
Brian couldn't drive because he was drunk.
yeah, he was drunk, but I couldn't tell you I was drunk. It was like 30 degrees out there. I'm driving. I got my head out the window. I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to make it, but I made it.
Well, that's home for me. I was born down there, and
I went to college down
I
there.
went. I just like I did just where you call home. That's just home.
That's
Okay.
all.
Okay.
That's all.
What would you tell the kids? Because and just to give the background, I know you two y'all worked at DC Department of Recreations, and Patty, you're a school teacher. So, how could you, or what would you tell the youth of today? Of well, how did you keep the kids in check then? Well, I'm just going back into when our baby like 13, 14, 15. How did you guys keep us in check at that time? Because it seemed like when I was going to the rec, it was like I said, it was
Totally
fun.
different.
It's different now. You know, it's a lot different now. Everywhere is different. In 1968, I was working there at McKinley High School in D.C. And now this is not only D.C. but back home in Wagner and all places now. It's so much different. But in 1968, I was trying to teach typing there, and boy came in. He would come in every day late. The other kids would be typing. He would bring his McDonald's in and everything, and he would go to the back of the room and sit and eat his breakfast. He would have coffee smelling all over the room. Other kids typing. And so anyway, I told him about that. I said, you need to stop that. You need to be in here on time with the rest of us.
Mhm.
So he didn't say anything. So one morning, I just got fed up with what he was doing. So I said, you know what? You need to get out of here with that. Don't come back in here with your sandwiches and coffee smelling all over the room. I said, get up and leave. He said, you better get from over me before I knock the SH out of you.
This was in 1968?
This was 1968. Okay. And so I said, you know what? You need to come on down with me to the principal. And for some unknown reason, he went downstairs from the 3rd floor to the 1st floor, and we went into the principal's office. I told Dr. Liggins, the principal, what he had done. He said, boy, you must be crazy. I can't have you talking to my teachers like that.
Mm-hmm.
Go to your locker, get your books and everything else that you have in your locker, and go home, and you stay 2 weeks. And don't come back unless you have a parent with you. Don't even think about coming. I can't have you talking to my teachers like that. That was 1968. About 5 years ago, a boy came to me. Well, he was not doing what he was supposed to do. I was trying to tell them what to do, and he's busy talking. And so I said, come down here. Come down here where I am. I said, you need to pay attention to what I'm saying. He got in my face with his fist. And so I said, okay, so I wrote him up. He said, I hurt you, young. I hurt you. This is, I understand he was a boxer too. He was a boxer, but he got right in my face. So I wrote a note to the principal, and I noticed I hadn't heard from her. This is about 5 years ago. And so anyway, I hadn't heard from her about what was going to happen with the boy threatening me like that. So I went to her office and I said to her, I haven't heard from you about that situation that happened in my classroom. She said, what did you do to him to make him put his fist in your
Oh
face?
my.
That's what we have now. The children run the schools.
That's the difference.
What?
That's
This was the principal.
This was the principal,
No back
who
up.
later became the superintendent.
politics. Mm.
What
That's
did
what
you do
she
to him
said.
to make him put his fist in your face?
Ain't that nothing?
Oh no.
Well, I'm glad I worked in rec.
I know that's right.
Well, before we land this plane, I have what we call a rapid fire, 60 seconds of fire. I'm gonna ask you guys some questions.
Oh, don't ask
Just
us
one,
any questions.
just one word, one sentence. But let me, y'all finish up while I get this.
We were doing
We
good.
were doing good.
Say we were doing good until we decided.
Oh, now, do we all have to?
I'm gonna give each one of y'all one.
Oh, man.
Okay.
That's funny.
Okay, we're gonna go this way.
Oh,
Oh,
Lord.
man. You put it in. There you go. I'm second.
You just keep the books.
Do you believe that you are more motivated in life by love, hate, or fear? What motivates you to do things? Is it love because you love, hate, revenge, or is fear because you're scared?
At this point, at 85 is love. At one point, it was probably was fear. But at this point in my life, it's love. Nah, revenge is not for me.
All right.
I told my daughter-in-law, and she probably told you at my birthday, the best revenge is success.
Go ahead, say that again. Woo! Woo! Okay. All right. I'm Patty.
All right.
So, what do you believe, because your biggest but is in life, okay? I would be here, but.
I don't know. Frankie, I don't know how to answer that, but, well, I'll say one thing. We were getting ready to, trying to have a 60th high school reunion, and I was trying to get in contact with the people. Everybody was sick. Everybody I called who graduated from me in 1963, they were sick. I have problems walking myself, but some had heart trouble, some couldn't talk, some.
Wow.
I said I would be that way, but I try to watch what I eat.
Oh.
I don't have. I'll have some chicken on the weekends, but I want some chicken every day. I want some fried chicken every day.
Yes.
I want some fried fish. I want something sweet, but I can't have that.
You would be in their position.
I would be,
But
but
you didn't go down the road that they went down. Okay. Now, Mom.
all right, Mom.
What do you believe? Again, we all know what an asset is. Asset is something that's a value. House, car, bank account. What do you believe your greatest invisible asset is? I.e., generosity, kindness, peace.
Well, I guess it's because I believe you reap what you sow, so I try to be generous and treat people the way I want to be treated. So, and I think that's what works for me anyway.
Okay. All right. Now,
We get just one question, don't we?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go back around. And each one of you, each one of you going to answer this one question. So each one is going to get the same
You
question.
should have stopped while you were
I
ahead.
know. Okay.
You
All
don't
right.
like success.
Okay. So we could complete this sentence or finish this statement. Life is about.
Life is about, to me, I guess I would feel that if you're living, you're trying to have pleasure. That's life, okay? And to, like I said before, to treat other people in a great way.
Okay. Patty, life is about.
Life is about, to me, obeying our Maker and what He has left for us to do, to obey His commandments and to obey the work that He has left here for us to do by reading His Word.
Okay. All right.
That's what I think.
All right.
Now, you know I'm going straight to hell, though.
Life is about him. No. We're going to edit up on that. Okay. Life is about
Living.
All right. Okay. All right. All right, guys. Look, we're going to land this plane. As I said, wanted to be a little transparent with you guys and just open up to you about my family history. And by doing this, I'm hoping that this encourages someone else to have the conversation. Just have the conversation of where you came from, who are your ancestors, not only the names, but the stories behind how you came about, what your ancestors went through, some of the struggles. Like, for instance, I didn't know that my ancestors went to college, that they were doctors, that they were teachers. What in your family line, who are you? Some people out there, they're struggling right now because they don't know who they are. They're lost they're lost in the wilderness. But if you know and you understand that you come from greatness, you can then begin to pull yourself up, and your self-esteem level can rise just a little higher. So that's what we're trying to get across to you, and hopefully you can have this conversation within your family. So this is your partner, Frankie P.
Maria P.
And these are our special guests.
Oh my goodness.
We like to thank you again. And remember, you change your perspective, you change your life. When you change your perspective, you change your life. When you change your perspective, get your generations, understand who you are, and guess what? You're going to change your life. Peace.
All right.
Right.
Peace out.
All right, that was great.
I know you're gonna have a lot of editing to do to this.